Hey, it's the product experience. Now I'm Randy Silver. For years, Intercom has been the company to watch in terms of how to do product the right way. That is, to have great, thoughtful approaches that also result in lots of business value. It's been fascinating to watch how they've responded to the disruption, or call it acceleration, that's been brought on by AI. We're joined today by their Chief Product Officer, Paul Adams, to learn about how they've handled the last couple of years and what comes next for Intercom. What's changed in just the fundamental approach?
The world isn't suddenly going to explode into more customer service reps, but it will explode into more AI agents.
Do you feel like you made the right decision?
If you work in technology, every single one of us is going to have a different type of job. So let's plan for that world.
Sales isn't used to working that way, are they? What was that like? How did you approach it?
I'm one of the most likely people to be left behind.
Hi, Paul. Welcome to the Product Experience. How are you doing today?
Good, thanks. Thanks for having me. Delighted to be here.
It's great to have you here today, and we're going to get stuck into the chat in just a second. But before we do, it'd be great if you could give us a quick intro to who you are and what you're doing in product and how you got there.
Yeah, I work at Intercom. I lead our product team. I've been here since the very early days, 11 years, over a decade, which sounds kind of terrifying in a way. But it's been great, and it's amazing these days. We've an AI revolution happening around us and inside the building, so it's been great. Before that, I was in all sorts of kind of product roles. I was at Facebook. Before that, I was at Google. Lived over in San Francisco, which is wild and fun. And yeah, I'm kind of jack of all trades. I've been a PM, designer, researcher, jack of all trades, master done.
So 11 years in a startup, and I think there was 13 people in Intercom when you joined. So that must be really interesting seeing the company change and evolve over that period of time.
Yeah, it's unrecognizable, really. And yeah, 10 years, when a company's a decade old, it's obviously gone through highs and lows and different kind of journeys, in terms of the goal of what you're trying to achieve and so on. So yeah, we've reconfigured internally many times. We have changed how we build software. We've changed how we go to market. Like I said, it's been really exciting the last couple of years. The last 2 years actually have been two of the most exciting years in the company in all of my time here, because of what's enabled by the start of this new technology wave. I find it incredibly energizing and exciting. There's so much opportunity and anxiety and fear too. The uncertainty brings that. But I'm loving it.
Well, as long as you're loving it, I'm sure the energy that you're bringing to the rest of the team and the passion for all of these changes is exciting everyone else as well. I do remember I was saying to Randy earlier, Intercom was one of the kind of classic examples of the use of jobs to be done in marketing, where your landing pages were everyone was talking about them. So yeah, I'm interested to see now kind of how the company's changed and how you've kind of ridden this wave of AI that has happened over the last couple of years. So, and that's kind of the topic of what we're going to be talking about today, but also you've made a huge change in your business model as well and how you price the product. So before we get stuck into the sort of organizational changes and the process changes, tell us a little bit about how this change happened, where you went from the sort of typical seats-based pricing for Intercom and more to this value-based pricing.
Yeah, it's funny. The older you get, the less you realize. It was funny to hear jobs be done there. I've learned that there's no right way to build software. There's no right way to go to market. In the past, I'm kind of some definition of strong. I believe in strong opinions weakly held. Sometimes in the past, I think I've been strong opinions strongly held. This is the way. This is the right way. Jobs to be done is better than personas. And I realized the hard way that that's not necessarily true. And different things are better and worse depending on the company, the size, your goals, all sorts of stuff like that. So I try and force myself to be very open-minded about all of these things. And I think when ChatGPT showed up, I talk about these things, many people do, as these one-way door moments. You kind of, once you go through the door, you're not going back. The iPhone was one that kind of kicked off this kind of mobile technology wave. ChatGPT is the one that kicked off the AI wave that we're in the early years of now. And when you go through these doors and you realize you've gone through the door, everything was up for grabs, I think. And so one thing we did very early in Intercom is realize and internalize that this is the beginning of a new technology wave. This AI wave is probably going to be very big. TBD how big, and still TBD how big, but certainly as big as mobile, maybe as big as the internet, and maybe bigger. So within the space of a week of ChatGPT coming out, we ripped up our roadmap, we changed our strategy, we started to rethink everything that we used to think was a best practice or an industry standard or whatever. And we did that because it was very clear very early that customer service, which is what we built a product for, was going to be one of the first industries to be hugely, hugely disrupted, because LLMs were already out of the box very good at a lot of the tasks that customer service people do. So everything got put on the table, and the seats model that has dominated SaaS for the decade or so that SaaS has existed was up for grabs too. We were like, maybe that's not the best way to price. And if our goal is to get as many people using this new type of product that they don't understand, that they can't evaluate, they don't know how to even think about evaluating it, we can't price it in a way that is optimized for our business growth. We got to price it in a way that's optimized for them trying it and using it. And if they get value from it, they'll keep it. And if they don't get value from it, we don't have a good product. And so, we launched Finn, which is our AI agent, 18 months ago. And from day one, priced it based on resolutions. So if a customer query is resolved, you get charged. And if it's not resolved, you don't.
I love that you've taken that approach, Paul, but people sometimes think that their business model, they think they're owed their business model. Like the music industry for a long time was singles based, then became album based, and then it became disintermediated again with iTunes and then streaming and things like that. And it's a totally different revenue model now. So when you started having the discussions about going value based with Finn, that had to be a little contentious for at least some people at the table at Intercom. I mean, sales isn't used to working that way, are they? What was that like? How did you approach it?
Yeah, no, you're right. Music is a great comparison. Like, people have a lot to lose. A lot of people have a lot to lose. Like, the music industry or any of these kind of disruptive periods. Like, there's a lot of discussion at the moment about, ChatGPT can now do image creation. A lot of people are asking like, hey, it's using my content, and it's similar to kind of the Napster era of music where, suddenly it was like, wait, who's getting paid? And am I getting paid still? Or who, so there's kind of the model. And then there's the price. Like, Spotify still pays music artists, but a lot of people would say not very much a lot of the time, or, the kind of most of the money goes to the bigger artists or whatever. I don't know enough about that to really have a strong opinion, but there's the model and there's the price. And so certainly here, like, we have a sales team that has spent their whole career selling seats. They know how to do it. It's familiar. And suddenly they're faced with selling a product based on a model that's never existed before. Not only is it like new, it's also unfamiliar. Like, sometimes it's like, hey, we're going to price, maybe like the move from singles to albums was like, well, it's still kind of the same thing, 10 songs instead of one or whatever, This is like an entirely new way to think about value and value exchange. So it's been very difficult for the team, and I feel for them, because not only are they trying to learn a new model to sell and explain, but the technology underpinning the product, i.e. LLMs and AI, is also rapidly changing. So they're trying to grapple both sides at the same time. So it's been hard for sure. We've had to lean in a lot to like sales enablement and also build tools on the marketing side, like ROI calculators, or ways that people could see how they might derive value from the product and so on. And it's an ongoing journey. We have not yet fully figured this out.
That was going to be my next question is, do you feel like you made the right decision? Like, did you get to a point where you were like, actually, this is going to work, or this is working, but is it still early days yet?
it's 100% the right decision. Well, I can't say 100%. I said earlier that like I'm open to all things. I have high confidence it's the right decision. Like I don't think we're going back to seats for sure. Maybe we'll move to a new, like, you know, where I'm uncertain is like maybe a new model will emerge that's a little bit different. Maybe it's still outcome based, but the ways in which it works are kind of different, you know. So I think things for sure are going to evolve. And so it is still early, you know, like it's definitely still early. The majority of software sold is still seat based in SaaS. So it's certainly still early, but I'm high confidence that it's the right path, that AI products will be sold based on the value that they create for the people who use them. I just think it's a win. It's better. It's just a win-win model. And I think that AI is a very, very kind of unique technology in that you're basically selling work. You know, like in like a SaaS product with seats, you're kind of selling the seat. So like if it's a sales tool, we've 10 salespeople, we add an 11th salesperson, oh, you add an 11th seat. So you're kind of selling a license for a single user, 10 salespeople, 10 seats, 11. Whereas here, you're selling work to be done. And yeah, maybe it's a little bit like jobs to be done as well. There's a connection there, but it's kind of like you're selling work to be done. And that's like just a different model, just a different mental model entirely. And so I don't know that anyone's cracked it yet for sure, and it'll evolve for sure. But I think the idea that we're selling work is a foundational part of new AI products that people kind of need to wrap their head around. And what does that actually mean? People's jobs and roles change too. So it's not like for like. You know, we see a lot of people in customer service where Finn, our AI agent, does a lot of the tier 1 support. And so the customer rep, that's like the easiest kind of frontline support, the easiest questions. And then, okay, we don't need the people to do that anymore because Finn does it better, quicker, faster, more accurate. People hated that job anyway. It's kind of like good news for most customer support teams. They're drowning in volume. But then they redeploy people to new types of work. Like, hey, someone needs to design the Finn experience. Someone needs to like make sure our knowledge is up to date, because if it isn't, Finn will give out-of-date answers. So the jobs change too. And then, you know, does the like admin person of the tool need a seat? Or no, it's free. It's free for them, but we just charge for the resolution.
And how has it impacted the company's growth? You know, have you had to kind of like take a bit of a sort of like standing position for a while, like knowing there's going to be a bit of figuring this stuff out? Or, you know, has it resulted in more growth in the business by taking this approach?
That's a great question, because I think a lot of businesses, a lot of SaaS products face this dilemma. We've taken risks. Well, like ripping up your strategy and going all in on AI 5 days after the product launched was kind of a risky thing to do at the time. We did other stuff too. We ripped up our website. We launched a new website about a year ago that was like kind of nuts by SaaS standards. Like SaaS websites all look the same. They have a product screenshot and, you know, call to action at the bottom and value prop at the top. And we launched something that was based on art. And it was like, it had no product screenshot above the fold. It was like a creative, artistic expression of like a man looking into a futuristic city, kind of utopian optimism, futurism vibes, which for a SaaS website, that's not done. You know, it's not kind of a thing you do. So we've been taking big risks, and we've a kind of appetite and culture because we think it's necessary to do it. I think all SaaS companies face this dilemma, whether they've leaned into it yet or not. For us, it's worked out really well, but there's a nuance to that. It's worked out really well in that like Finn is our fastest ever growing product. If you take Finn alone as a like standalone business, it's tremendously successful and really fast growing, like really, really amazing. Our fastest ever, like I said. We're very happy about that. And yet we think the market is still largely untapped. So there's huge, huge growth opportunities. But meanwhile, we do have this like older seats-based business, and lots of people still do human support. So it still matters and it's still tremendously important, but it's just not going to grow nearly as fast as the Finn business. It couldn't possibly. The world isn't suddenly going to like explode into like more customer service reps, but it will explode into more AI agents. So we have both businesses running in parallel. The seats one is slower growing, so it's growing well, but slower. and Fin has exploded. So it's working out well for us, but at some point there's going to be cannibalization there probably. We don't see a ton of it yet, but obviously like the more AI does, the more resolutions it can do, the fewer seats you need in theory, especially when you don't charge for the new types of roles that people are doing with Fin, like designing the system and so on. So we'll see. It's good so far, but it was a risky thing to do.
Paul, you've had a lot of challenges with this. So we'll talk in a minute or two about how the teams build with AI now, but I'm curious about building for AI first. Intercom is well known for lots of different frameworks that you guys have talked about over the years and different ways of thinking and mature ways of approaching the practice. And I'm wondering, you've probably had to rip up a whole bunch of things and unlearn things. I'm guessing your North Star metrics are very different for Fin than they are for your seat-based things and some of your other persons. So what's changed in just the fundamental approach?
Yeah, they're all those things. You're right. All those things have changed. I'm trying to think, is anything the same, actually, which might sound crazy to people. I'm not sure. When we think about this world, we think about the new companies that have been born in the last 2 years. That's who we compare ourselves to. So like, if you're an AI startup, it could be many companies, Cursor, Lovable, Bolt, all AI coding tools. Like there's Replit, like loads of amazing companies have been founded in the last 2 years. And we ask ourselves, how did they work? Like, what do they think is important? Because that's who we're competing against, not those companies directly, but like AI startups in the customer service space, customer experience space. AI customer agent is a new emerging category. And it's really hot. Like it's a kind of an obvious no-brainer place to invest money if you're a VC and fund all these different types of companies. There'll be probably a few big winners, maybe many smaller winners. So it's got loads of opportunity, and we compare ourselves to those companies. And I think that's really, really important. We don't compare ourselves to the prior versions of Intercom because it's meaningless now. I've had to learn this, by the way. Like I love a good process written down, many a whiteboard, beautiful diagram, arrows and boxes, and, and yeah, so very little of it exists anymore. One thing that's persisted is our principles. So we have principles for how we build. I'm a big, big proponent of principles. I think if you can master the art of writing principles, principles are guidelines for how you behave. So if you can master the art of these guidelines, you can kind of live a very productive life. I think principles are excellent for your personal life just as much as they are for your work life. Our principles have persisted. So for example, we've 4 principles in our R&D team, which is our product engineering team. One of them is start with the problem. We've recently changed to sweat the problem, which is, I'm not sure I like the new language, but I'll use our old language, start with the problem. I still think that's really important in an AI first world. In fact, it's probably more important because these new tools let anyone build software very quickly. I can't code like HTML back in the day kind of thing. And I can build websites and apps. I have both Replit and Lovable open in front of me at the moment, and I'm trying to build a new website page for fun. Well, to work with it, can I do it? We'll see. But I can try. So what actually matters more than anything is, does this thing even matter? Like, is this a problem worth solving? So I think we're going to see an explosion of companies, like a real explosion of companies, new apps, and many of them will fail because they're not solving a problem worth solving. And there's like you can break that down into different things, like how big is the problem? Is there a big market, high energy problem, and so on. I think there's like a lot of detail to picking a good problem, but I think they'll fail because of that. And then conversely, like many companies that would have never existed before will solve real problems that people really care about, and just nobody was motivated to do it before. Maybe it's a bit niche. And now suddenly it's going to be a great solution for it, thanks to AI and AI tools. So yeah, so principles have persisted.
So the principles have persisted. Like what? You said you've ripped up all of your processes and you work in a completely different way. How are you working?
Chaotically.
Okay, so there's just no processes.
A little bit of chaos. I think a little bit of chaos is good, by the way. How are we working? So like Intercom, like many companies over the last 10 years, we kind of the best practice kind of emerged. I first saw it at Facebook. When I was at Google, the engineering teams are gigantic. Like I worked on YouTube and Gmail, and you would have like one PM would be over like 20 and 30 engineers at times. You know, you might have one designer or half a designer if you're lucky, that kind of ratio. And when I moved to Facebook, it was very different. The teams were much smaller. So you'd have like a PM, a designer, an engineering manager, and maybe somewhere between 5, 7, 8 engineers. And I think that pattern, we certainly then did that at Intercom and trialed different things, but that pattern kind of persisted. So you have somewhere like 5 to 6 engineers per team. Team had a triad. The triad are like a team at the top, and you know, together they pick the right problems to solve, design good solutions, build good solutions, and so on. And then the teams are organized into groups. So you have like a product team for 3 areas, and there's a group there. And then you might have, at Intercom, we got to the size where we'd have like 4 or 5 groups. So you're kind of looking at 20 product teams, basically. You know, if you came in our doors 12 months ago, that's how we were set up. None of those things exist anymore. We've blown up triads, blown up teams, and we're now working in a way more fluid, flexible way. So the way we've set ourselves up now is almost everyone's kind of in a big giant pool, and we have work streams. So there's kind of like, we pick an area of the product that needs to get developed. And again, like a lot of this is it's in its infancy as a product. So there's a lot of like exploration to do. With AI product development, there's a lot more experimentation than we would have done historically. Just do these things work? Who knows? So we have work streams. The work stream has a DRI, like a directly responsible individual. So there's a single person in charge of a work stream. And then that work stream has whatever resources they need at whatever given time they need them. And so people can move between work streams. Sometimes a work stream could be design heavy because it's like early exploration world. Sometimes it could be engineering heavy. People move around based on the need. That's how we're set up now. And there's no triads anymore. We've cut out huge overhead. It's not all working. It's working better. We were reflecting on this recently in the leadership team. It's working better, but it's not perfect. Like there's still issues and coordination challenges and things like that. We're building software in an entirely different way.
One of the classic things of your approach is, Paul, you talked a long time ago about, I think it was 6 days or 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years as an organizing principle. And I'm guessing 6 years is probably thrown out the window at the moment when you're thinking about this, but that's way too long a time frame to have any sense of confidence in. But are you still thinking in terms of those kinds of horizons with these teams or with these groups?
You're right that 6 years is out the window, that's for sure. Having said that, like the only caveat there is I do think you still need a product vision. Like we do have a clear product vision. We think that the majority of customer communication will be done by AI agents, and the world of customer service will expand into customer experience and customer success. And so we do, you know, I could go into more detail. We do have a clear product vision. So we're kind of like hand wavy heading to a certain place. But then after that, it's 2 months. Like, you know, how far out are we planning and thinking? 2 months. We have an event in London in May where we're going to launch some new product. I know what's going to be there. We've one in July that we're planning for, probably in San Francisco. And as of today, I roughly know what we'll announce there. And then we've one in October, and who knows? You know, like we don't know. I literally couldn't tell you what we're going to announce there. So we're literally thinking 2-3 months ahead. And part of the reason is it's unclear where this world's going, you know, and I think it's way more important to be flexible. It's kind of like the Darwinian theory of evolution, like only the strongest species don't survive, the most adaptable do. I think that's how I think about it. Only the most adaptable species of company will survive. I think if you're kind of stuck in your ways, following a formula, you're not going to make it. Again, I'll go back to the example, like OpenAI released, you know, image creation in ChatGPT, and it's exploded and it's melting their servers. 2 weeks ago, no one knew that was coming. No one knew what Ghibli was. Like this. So why would you have a plan that goes out to multiple new language updates? Anthropic launched Claude Code, I don't know when, a month ago. Amazingly powerful tool. Like this stuff changes so fast, so much. I think people have to have a very open, flexible product strategy.
What's been the sort of human impact like in the team to this amount of change and this rate of change?
Like human, we're a kind of change-averse species. Some people love change. I do. I love it. It energizes me. I get excited about it more than other people sometimes. But it's not for everyone, and it's not for most people. Most people don't like change. We're habitual creatures of habit. So it's hard. It's been hard for people, and that's there's communication, leadership communication is really important to explain why we're doing something. I think the overriding feeling inside Intercom, at the kind of most simplistic level, is I think most people understand that all of our jobs are changing. All of our jobs are changing. If you work in technology, every single one of us is going to have a different type of job. Not like in the far future, like next year, when will software engineers stop writing code as a main part of their job? Like soon. So everyone, and then that change, and like then if that happens, that changes everybody's job in some way. If you're like even a researcher, it changes your job in some way. So everyone has kind of like internalized, okay, I can lean into this uncertainty, ambiguity, and it's, anxiety inducing at times. How does this world change? So you can lean into it and just learn hard on the job, or like kind of ignore it and head in the sand kind of mode. And so I think most people are in the like, I know I got to learn. I know I got to do it. So I'm going to lean in. People join Intercom because of that opportunity. And people have left because it's not for them. So there is a self-selection thing going on too. At the leadership level, we are trying all the time to strike a balance between everything changing all the time, which is just exhausting, and making sure that we're not being like dogmatic or missing opportunities because we're afraid that people are tired or it's a bit too much. I do think that we're in a period in technology that is intense. Whether you like it or not, for better or for worse, we're in the intense period. So you got to like embrace it, learn how to make it work for you, or you'll be left behind. That's kind of how I think about it.
It's an interesting one, but at a leadership level, for a company of your size, with your customers and your commitments, there's a certain amount of predictability that's expected and desired. But as you said, it's all change underneath at the moment. You can't have hired people for the change that is coming next week. So how are you supporting the people that you have? How are you helping them develop the new skills? As a company, how are you helping people to adapt?
I guess the simplest answer is by talking to them. I know this kind of sounds dumb, but like the worst thing to do is not talk about it. Like I was just talking literally to one of my leaders this morning about something. There's an all hands coming up, and I was saying like, don't hold back. Don't like mollycoddle just say it. Just say it. Like, just say the uncomfortable truths. So you have to lean into that. As leaders, we're not helping anyone by like, don't worry, it'll be okay. Don't worry, your job isn't changing that much. Don't worry, maybe the AI can design someday, but don't worry, you're a great designer. Nope. The AI is going to be amazing at design soon. So let's plan for that world. So we're trying to be really direct and honest with people for everyone's benefit. Like I do worry. Sometimes I look around and I'm talking to people and I do worry that they haven't fully internalized the change that's coming. And there's as much opportunity as there is risk in all of this. So I want them to see the opportunity. Obviously, like I'm at Intercom and I care most people at Intercom. So I want us to win and I want them to win and I want them to have amazing careers. They'll all leave Intercom someday and I want them to go on to brighter and better things. I have a lot of ego and pride in people leaving and going on and doing cool stuff afterwards. And so I want to set them up for that world. And the only way to do that is like be direct and honest with them.
How do you see, you've mentioned the impact of AI on all of the people in the team, like across product engineering, design, marketing, probably sales as well. Like, how do you see it impacting your job?
Maybe I don't have a job soon. Who knows? How does it impact my job? I think for me personally, I guess there's the job of like chief product officer. What is that job? For me personally, I worry about being left behind. I'm one of the most likely people to be left behind. Like the older you are, the more experience you have, the more set in your ways you might be, or like you've seen things that work in the past and therefore you assume they'll work in the future and you bring that forward. And there's elements of truth to that. I think with experience, you can really help people. I think I was personally a little lucky in that, or a lot of luck actually, maybe. I worked in the mobile team at Google when the last mobile wave started. So like I was in the mobile team at Google when the iPhone came out. So an amazing place to be because you learn so hard, so fast. So I can apply a lot of that now and explain to people and I say things to people that I say like, hey, don't forget, like I worked in the first mobile version of YouTube. And at YouTube, one of the hottest companies in the world, really cool, recently acquired by Google, who are also one of the coolest, hottest companies in the world. Most people said to me, and I worked in the UX team, and I partly believed that people won't watch videos on their phone. No one will do it. You're wasting your time. You're wasting your time with a mobile YouTube app. Like the quality is crap. It's grainy. It's slow, latency. There's no way the infrastructure will be built to support amazing videos for millions of people, right? Everyone was wrong, left, right, and center wrong. So I can apply those lessons now and try and help people and teach people. So that part of my job is will persist, I suppose. But I do worry about being left behind too, and like I said earlier, like I literally have Replit and Lovable open on the screen here because I'm trying to learn how these tools work. And Replit in particular has like new interaction design patterns I've never seen before. And I'm like, okay, wow, there's a new design language emerging here. So when we design Intercom and Fin in particular, Fin better look more like Replit than it does a SaaS app from 2015. So anyway, they're the things that I think about a lot. I think a large part of my job is to help, set strategy and direction, and then just support people and help them in evolving or navigating this new world so that they can be successful and help Intercom be successful ultimately too.
I've worked with companies that sold to enterprise in the past who literally their entire reason for being is that they were more nimble and they could do things with the enterprise company's data that the enterprise company couldn't do. They didn't have access to put it together in ways. You've got a massive customer base, but a lot of your most valuable customers traditionally have been the ones with the most seats, hence the biggest companies. So now you're going into a different model, and the company has to have access to knowledge in a way that is useful to train Fin and make it a good thing. So I'm guessing you've had to rethink your ideal customer profile for this in a big way, or how have you approached that?
Yeah, we do. We've a new ICP, like ideal customer. We have made a new one, and now like it's not dramatically different to what was there before, but it's more specific, and it's certainly like designed for the AI era. We asked ourselves, what are get back to the problem thing, like what are the problems that are most acutely felt that AI can solve, and who are those people, and what are their companies? And obviously we're in the world of customer service, and so one thing we've added to our ICP is volume. So different types of companies have vastly different inbound volume customer questions. And then it breaks down very differently between industries. So for example, e-commerce companies have huge volume and it's all the same questions. Do you ship to Ireland? Do you ship to Ireland? Right? Same stuff all the time. Automatable. And a poor human, like on the front lines, trying to answer that question over and over again all day long, like people quit. A huge customer service manager challenge is high turnover of staff because the job is like relentless. But then, if you're like a SaaS company, complex B2B product, big data integrations with Salesforce and stuff. It's just entirely different. You know, your customers have bespoke configurations and the questions they ask are very unique to them. So we have had to refine they're lower volume, but more complex. So we have kind of had to refine the ICP and think about it through an AI lens. And for sure, we've done that. But our overall kind of target customer, I'm not sure it's answered the question, Randy, but our overall target customer is roughly the same. Like, we don't sell to like big epic enterprises. The mid-market is where we're best. A lot of SMBs use Intercom, but they often then grow up into mid-market companies. A lot of companies similar size to Intercom find huge success with the product. We focus a lot on user experience, which they value, whereas like enterprise companies value, like you said, hardcore configuration.
Paul, thank you so much for sharing some of the insights into how Intercom is changing its ways and its products. I've particularly enjoyed the pizza in the background. So if you guys are listening to this and not watching, you have to check this out on YouTube because he has a giant pizza behind him.
An accidental pizza. It's new. It's a wall carpet and it's brand new. It came yesterday and I had the first video calls with it today. People are like, Paul, why do you put pizza on your wall?
I think you're going to have to just like turn it around or something so that you've got the non-pizza side.
Turn it inside out. Yeah, pepperoni pizza is not a good look.
No, it's been really fantastic. And hopefully, you know, Randy and I won't be replaced by AI anytime soon, but you never know. So, but yeah, thank you very much. And see the listeners next week.
Thanks.
Thanks, Paul.
The Product Experience hosts are me, Lily Smith, host by night and Chief Product Officer by day.
And me, Randy Silver, also host by night. And I spend my days working with product and leadership teams, helping their teams to do amazing work.
Luran Pratt is our producer and Luke Smith is our editor.
And our theme music is from product community legend Arnie Kittler's band, POW. Thanks to them for letting us use their track.